Welcome back to Making It So. This is episode number 48. On this, we are covering A Strange New Worlds, Season 4, Episode 2, The Griffin Incident. I'm your host, Craig, and my co-host, Steve, all the way over there in the US, in Massachusetts. How you going, buddy?
What's up, man?
How's it looking over there, mate? It's what?
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Summertime.
a nice summer day. Here it's... a Queensland winter. It was about 20 degrees during the day, 20 degrees Celsius. So not even that bad, really.
I'm counting down the days till fall. I can't stand summer, as you know.
Ha,
I love the fall over here in New England is pretty fantastic. So
nice. So for those of you listening to us on the audio mediums on different podcast platforms, we're also putting this out on YouTube with a video as well. So if you want to jump on over to our YouTube, that's the Geek and Camo YouTube. Jump on there and have a look as well. And you can find this advertised on all sorts of different social medias. It'll be on the Get Into Geek podcast channel as well. And it'll be all over my socials. You can find myself on Geek and Camo on Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I'm now on X as well.
For Let's those go.
People, or Twitter for those that still know it as Twitter. But apart from that, a little bit of news. So at Comic-Con the other day, they were talking about a new Star Trek movie that they're working on. And they said it's going to be in a future that we haven't covered before or something along those lines. So I'm not sure if they're talking about like post-Discovery future or if they're talking like post-Picard future in that. I'm really hoping it's in the post-Picard future.
Yep, same.
And it's not going to be a crew that we've used or followed before. So it's going to be a whole new crew and a whole new movie. Now, from what I could tell, they didn't say it was going to be a streaming movie or a cinema movie.
It's neither here nor there. So
okay. As we know, Steve and I will be getting into full spoilers for this episode of Strange New World. So if you haven't watched the episode yet and you don't want to be spoiled, please just pause this recording now wherever you are. Go watch the episode and then come back. If you don't mind being spoiled, continue listening on, please. It's not an issue for us. So where shall we go for the synopsis this week, Steve? Shall we go off IMDb or Prime Video? What do you reckon? Or Paramount there?
What one looks more ridiculous?
They're both equally trash this week.
Let's go with IMDb.
IMDb?
DB, thank you.
Okay. IMDb synopsis says Spock, La'an, and Kirk board a lost Federation ship where an old mystery becomes a survival crisis. And then Prime says La'an, Spock, and Kirk get trapped on a mysterious long-lost Federation ship. So
I think Prime did a better job at kind of setting up.
It was just like much shorter. But this episode, it was written by Robbie Thompson and directed by Axel Carolyn. So
Robbie and Axel.
I'm not sure if I've ever seen them on any of them before. So anyway, rightio. So this episode opens with a personal log of James T. Kirk. He's hitching a ride back home with Spock and La'an on a shuttle after they were at some sort of a retreat where some admiral was basically a tactics and seminar, of course. On their way back, They detect a distress signal. So I'm actually wondering where they had to go for this seminar because back in this time, those shuttles didn't exactly go massively fast either with their warp capability. So I'm hoping it wasn't too far that they had to go. But they detect a distress signal. So one thing that I was a little bit like, Spock was concerned with La'an about her distraction at the retreat. I don't know. It just seemed a bit, yeah, I don't know. It just
Forced
wasn't necessary to
composition.
me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
An unnecessary scene. We understand that they're together. You don't need to hammer in the feelings every time you get the chance to do it.
yeah, like yeah, yes, Star Trek has always covered relationships and stuff, but it just I don't know, it just
Yep.
didn't even. Well, I don't know. Later on in this episode, there is a lot more of their relationship and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it is what it is. But they come across
Well,
a
better done though. It's better done as it goes into the episode. I feel like
absolutely, yeah.
this
That bit I
that
just
scene in
thought was good.
particular was kind of like,
They come across like a bit of an asteroid field sort of thing, and in it they find the USS Griffin NCC 1067. Now that's a Constitution class ship. Looking at it, all right. Now, wasn't the USS Constitution the one the class was named after? Its registry number 1700. And
got me on that one.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. So, because yeah, usually with the classes of ships, they all, they start,
Start with the same numbers.
1700,
Yeah.
and then the next one will be 1701, 1702, and so forth, right? Obviously, the Enterprise, as we get into next gen and all that sort of stuff, they just go 1701, A, B, C, D. For like the Sovereign, like it would have been, eight whatever, for instance. And then the next ship in line would have been 8801 or whatever it was.
So how would 67 even make sense
Yeah,
for
well,
that
yeah,
then whatsoever?
1067. It to me that didn't make sense. But yeah, it had been missing for 9 years apparently. This ship too. So
They have a lot of missing
yeah.
ships out there.
Yeah, it actually makes me wonder how many ships over the years that Starfleet has actually lost. So
I was thinking about it when I was going to get my coffee. I was thinking about that exact thing. I'm like, how many times has this happened, and how many more ships like that is there out there? Have they lost like a total of like 70 ships over, the making of Starfleet? So like, I don't know. It's just
yeah,
interesting.
well, and they had three? It said they had 300 souls on board. So obviously the crew, and yeah, with Captain Taggart, and they were all gone. So as they are prepping for the away mission, like they realize that they've only got 2 torches, and then Kirk was like, "Oh yeah, well, lucky I was a Boy Scout, and yeah, he's always prepared, and he's got like a spare torch and stuff." Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, everyone's got their little go bag, I guess, for that sort of
For
thing.
me, just getting back to like Kirk being on the Enterprise and why he's there, it just seemed like another reason for them to kind of filter him in with the crew that's presently there and what's going to happen in the future when he eventually takes it over. Obviously that's the case. They're trying to make him more of like a familiar face of the show. I just thought it was kind of hand-fisted to get him in there a little bit.
Well, his
Just like,
current
oh, here we
ship,
go.
his current ship must be always pretty close to the Enterprise at the moment.
And that's what I was thinking. I'm like, how is it always the Enterprise? I don't think people sometimes understand how many ships are in Starfleet.
Yeah,
10, 15,000 ships, and it's just
exactly.
always the Enterprise that happens to be near him. It's just odd. It just seems very hand-fisted if you really step back and think about it.
I actually like him playing Kirk though. Um, he he is very much playing a younger Kirk, which makes sense, obviously. But and you can see little parts in there occasionally of where he has watched Shatner and learned from him.
Yes, I will say this. I may not love the character. Like to me, like everybody said off the jump, he does look like a bargain store Jim Carrey to me. I cannot get that out of my head. I cannot unsee it whatsoever. But the more that he's been in the show, the more I've gotten used to him because obviously he's here to stay. And the more I've just kind of gotten past that and looked at his mannerisms. The mannerisms and the little slight Kirk things that he's done was very evident in this episode, actually. That was definitely
Yeah,
something I
nice.
noticed.
So very smartly, before they beamed over to the Griffin, Spock sent a message with the coordinates and everything to the Enterprise by long range comms, which I thought was very smart to do that. So, excellent. Let them know what they're doing. But at the same time, it probably would have been more smart to leave one of them on the shuttle and only send 2 over to the ship.
Yeah. Or
like from a tactics type of thing, leave one on there and then you can use someone on the shuttle to beam them out straight away if they need to, in case there's any issues.
Or send a full complement of crew if you really wonder about what's going over there. It pissed me off so much when they were worried about what was going on. None of them had their freaking phaser up the entire time. It pissed me off so bad. But please go, even though it didn't do anything. I get it. But
anyway, as soon as they beam over to the Griffin, La'an comments that the artificial gravity is on because she was expecting to be floating, which totally makes sense to me. So I'm glad that they did mention that because that, some people could have made an issue about that. So I'm glad they did mention that because that ship, as I said, had been lost for 9 years. Straight away, Kirk hears a baby crying, but nobody else hears it. So we're like, what is going on here? So straight away, though, this episode made me think of Event Horizon.
That's when you thought it felt like Event Horizon?
Maybe
as I say, that didn't give me the vibes then, but actually right when I saw you'll get into it, but the first character that we see other than them, that's when I kind of get the vibe. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I didn't pick up on Event Horizon, to be fair, but I felt like it was very similar to some other horror sci-fi that we've seen. So.
Well, Event Horizon come out in, I think, 1997, and Sam Neill was in that movie. Last week we were doing a bit of Jurassic Park, which was a Sam Neill movie as well. So I'm wondering what we're going to rip off with a Sam Neill movie next week.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. By the way, rest in peace, Sam Neill.
Yes.
He's one of the greatest actors we had, man.
Yeah, no,
he was never afraid to do roles that people would probably think would be below him, and I loved him for that.
Yeah. Anyway, so the ship itself has just this creepy, empty vibe, and it's still got some very minor lighting going. It doesn't even really seem broken. It seems just everything's just gone.
It seems like a modern Star Trek ship, very dark.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Very dark, honestly. Maybe it was the night shift or something. I don't
know. They figure out that they've got 1 hour of life support left. There are no shuttles on the ship left. All the escape pods are gone, but there are no records of any launch at all. It's just weird. So what the hell has happened on this thing? So, they were checking through the computers as well, and they were trying to make sure that there was no experiments that they'd done that were going wrong and, shit like that. So we did learn, though, that Starfleet has what's called a Division 12, which is like an investigative arm that looks after unexplained phenomenon, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I do like that. There's going to be a lot more divisions for certain things as well for other.
Well, yeah. So, obviously, we've got Division 12. So, there's probably another, at least 11 more divisions before that.
Or sections.
Well, so the name Section 31 actually comes from Section 31 of the Federation Charter.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But
who knows? There might be more sections.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, what other parts of the Federation Charter are they taking sections from, I guess?
That's what I'm getting at. You never know. They could do it. Could be possible.
So they're strolling down the hall, I guess, and then they see what I can only describe at that point as a creepy zombie, in a Starfleet uniform, down the hall. And they follow it, and then it disappears. It goes around a corner and there's a closed bulkhead there. So where did it go? So already we're like, what is going on?
Yeah, but you always follow the creepy zombie on a empty starship. That's what you usually do.
Well, yeah, every creepy horror movie, there's, someone that,
Yeah.
gets chased or follows the creepy zombie or the dude with the chainsaw, that sort of thing.
Or the flashlight's just a beam instead of it being actually bright,
Well, they didn't even really
illuminating
do the old
anything.
trope of flickering the flashlight, did they? With a battery
No,
going
but
dead or anything. So they kept away from that, which was nice.
it was brighter than most horror movies, the flashlight. But if you ever noticed, it was just like, why do they have a flashlight if it's not illuminating anything?
Anyway, so that creepy zombie thing says that I've been waiting for you as it like disappears. So it's like, what the hell is going on? Then, we actually get the opening titles of the episode. So that's around about the 8-minute mark. So much earlier than
Yeah.
last week's, like 15 minutes in.
It's a good cold open.
Yeah, it was
good
good.
opening.
So there was no life signs on this ship at all, despite what they had just seen. But they were detecting some negatively charged ions. So, and Spock said that. And then Kirk's like, you mean ghosts? And Spock's like, no, I said negatively charged ions. Anyway, they come across a door, which is to sick bay, we learn, which is got these bars welded across it, which is cool. Like, I got a little bit of Walking Dead vibes from that. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, The Walking Dead, where,
Just the first season.
yeah, well, any zombie sort of thing, really. Like, you get,
Yeah.
if there's zombies inside, you're going to weld the doors closed. Like, but then they decide, hey, we're going to try and get in there anyway. But there's Starfleet phaser burns around and on this door. There are also Klingon disruptor and Vulcan phaser burns. So, what Vulcan ship came across this thing and what Klingon ship came across this thing as well. And we're just like, yeah, we're out of here.
Yep.
Or
Exactly.
did they all, disappear on the ship as well? So
yeah,
we
because
don't
you
really
would think that if the Vulcans had disappeared, they would at least communicate that with. I mean, had been to the ship, they would communicate that with Starfleet.
So anyway, Kirk starts hearing the child crying again, and he starts to walk off, and then La'an stops him as they lower the barricades on the door. So, you're hearing all this creepy stuff. A door has been deliberately welded closed and had bars put across it. But hey, we're just going to pull those off. Yeah, real smart guys.
Yeah.
Let's
Yep.
let's see. Anyway, they go into sick bay, and there's a whole bunch of empty body bags. Now, one thing I did notice about those empty body bags, each individual one has a different crew member's name on it.
Like preordained.
Yeah, so like, if I was a crew member on that ship and then I died, they'd go and find my body bag. That to me was very, very weird because, coming from my military background, if, they don't have that, marked for everyone. They just have a body bag and then they'll, put a name on it.
That's like a very drastic measure to have for every single, potential death on the ship. It is kind of creepy to point. So
Yeah, very,
I
very
get
much
why
so.
why would you put the name on it? Just have a bunch of body bags. Like if like a random member of the crew were to stumble across, like, oh, you have a body bag for me. Interesting. Like I get why they do, but isn't that something that you could also materialize with a, like what do you call it? Missing the word.
Replicator?
Replicator.
Well, they
Thank
didn't
you.
really have replicators per se at this period either. So
They could do material and stuff, couldn't they?
they could do a certain amount, but I'm not sure if, it just seemed like
Enterprise,
an
they could.
absolute waste to me to be having
Yeah,
each,
no, I get
like,
it.
does each crew member when they come on board, come with like a pack that's got their body bag in it?
That's
Or
what
is
I
there,
mean. It's just
or is there
it's
some
odd.
quartermaster on the ship who's like, oh, I've got a new crew member. One of my jobs today is to print a new body bag for this guy.
No. Yeah. Or just switch the tags from the person who left the ship to the new one.
Yeah, I'm just
This
gonna
is
like
your body
erase
bag
that
now.
printing. Kirk and La'an decide that they're going to head off to the bridge. Before they go, though, La'an tells Spock to stay safe and gives him a kiss bye.
They say let's split up. It's like the number one thing in all horror movies.
Yeah.
I
Stay together.
I knew she was gonna say it before she said it, and then she goes, "Let's split up," and I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me! You gotta be kidding me! Why would you split up right now? What a terrible idea!" Anyway,
All right. So on their way to the bridge, Kirk and La'an are talking about Carol and David. So if you're not familiar and you haven't watched all of this and don't fully have an idea on Kirk and his relationship, he has a partner, Carol Marcus, and they have a son called David. That becomes very relevant. Was it in Star Trek V, isn't it?
it's well,
Undiscovered Country?
it's the one with Khan, which I just watched the other day, and then the Return of Spock or the Search for Spock,
Yeah, that's it. Anyway,
which something happens to him in that.
yes. Yes, that's
Well,
right.
we're in the spoiler section. He dies.
Yeah, exactly. Full
It's a
spoilers,
40-year-old movie.
If you haven't seen those movies by now, what are you doing?
No. Christopher Lloyd, come on.
Anyway, so Kirk then asks La'an about her family, and she's like, yeah, well, Starfleet's my family, which, she's basically a career officer. Like, this is it for her. She's, because of her augment family background and everything, she doesn't want anything to do with it. So it's just Starfleet is her family, and that is it.
But it's also a way for her to dodge around the question.
Of course,
You know what I mean? Or jump around the question because we still don't know everything about her past. So
then we saw this creepy figure in the hall behind them. Yeah, it was a little bit weird, but then they sort of felt it as well, and then they were like, oh, well, there's no negatively charged ions. So then they enter the turbo lift to the bridge. So this is a little bit of an inconsistency thing. So early on in Strange New Worlds, when they'd get in the turbo lifts, they would hold on to the little handle thing on the wall and twist it.
yeah.
They've stopped doing that. Obviously in the original series that's what they would do.
Yeah, it's one thing about the show I don't really love, and it comes to the end where perfect example is Pike's Quarters. Nothing seems to fit for that era in a lot of ways. Some stuff does. Most of it doesn't. I still like it, but it doesn't necessarily fit with that era. And I feel like they could have did a little better with that.
Yeah, of course.
In certain areas.
All right, so Spock is interrogating the computer, trying to find out what actually happened, and he figures out that all of them were beamed off the ship somehow. All right.
Not all of them.
Well, no, not all of them. Quite a few. I think it was.
Yeah.
So there
200 and something were beamed
287 were beamed directly into space.
Yeah.
Right. 13 were stab victims, and there was something else. Yeah, but those 287 were beamed into space while they were still alive. And it seems that they were all beamed into space by, was it Lieutenant Harper, the security chief, from her reports. Imagine that, being beamed straight into space. Yeah, that's just fucked.
It'd be instant death, though, so instant. You wouldn't even... I mean, the temperature out there is
so cold.
Instantly going to freeze you. So
yeah,
just the vacuum itself is going to kill you. So
yeah, it's not cool at all. Anyway, Spock, he gets himself trapped in sick bay. All right, and then the comms aren't working. Now, when he turns around, all of a sudden, the body bags that are laying on like the bio beds and stuff in the sick bay there are filled with bodies. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? And then blood starts pooling in them. This is just like, how is this happening? It's
creepiest hour of Star Trek ever. So
yeah, well, like they'd already done like a zombie episode. I think it was last season.
Creepy.
Anyway, Spock is looking at Harper's video log, and then all of a sudden, the body bag behind him sits up. And inside that body bag, it like opens it up and T'Pring is in it, of all people. I wasn't expecting that at all, to be honest.
No, I wasn't either. Out springs to pring. Wasn't seeing that at all.
Yeah. Anyway, Laan, she's looking at the log as well, and the log seems to be talking to her. Right. Anyway, they look out the view screen or the window on the bridge there, and they see their own shuttle that they came on just destroyed outside. So wouldn't it have made more sense to like either dock that shuttle somehow or fly it into a shuttle bay before they beamed in? But I don't know how it got destroyed. They never said how it got destroyed. Or did it actually get destroyed? Or was that just in their imagination?
That's something we never find out, actually, correct?
Yeah, I did not see it in my couple of watches of the episode. So I'm starting to think now that shuttle being destroyed was probably in their imagination.
In my opinion, they should have never been on the ship. If it's missing for 9 years, there's a lot more going on than what they probably had seen. If they
like
the first 10 minutes, you know.
We'll sit here, we'll wait for the Enterprise to come, and then once the Enterprise gets here, we can maybe send over a away team to figure out what happened. But, you know, just wait for Division 12. Wait for those guys and girls to get there. And, we'll go from there.
You can launch a rescue mission because you do hear the beacon going off. So, obviously, you have to go pay attention to it. Doesn't mean you have to board the ship.
Yeah, correct.
It's not going to change anything. So
T'Pring sort of tries to recount how she got there, but she doesn't even really know how she got there. Spock, he doesn't believe that it's actually T'Pring, and he's sort of trying to ignore her basically to a point. But yeah, they sort of discuss, you know, what's happening, and yeah, it's a little bit of a strange interaction. But yeah, Kirk and Laan, they're just like, yep, we basically need to get out of here. And they decide that Division 12 can deal with it. So Division 12 to me seems a bit like the X-Files from the FBI.
Paranormal kind of.
Exactly. So
oddities that Starfleet runs into.
Now, Laan decides that she's going to head to engineering. Spock's already by himself. Kirk will be by himself on the bridge, and then she's going to be by herself in engineering. Like, you've already seen enough creepy stuff on this ship. Why are we splitting up? Like, I know Laan is a badass security chief, you know, tough as all nails, but fuck. Don't split up.
It was unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's like the reason why, you know, spoiler, I didn't love the episode. I don't really love horror. The reason why it kind of pissed me off is just because, like, it's so tropey. It's just so tropey.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many elements about this episode that was awesome. It was fantastic. It was probably one of the better sci-fi television episodes, horror-wise, there was. But it was so tropey. It took me out in that element. It really did.
Yeah,
right from the beginning.
The characters in this episode have clearly never seen a horror movie. So I don't think the Enterprise has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they have movie nights like the NX-01.
Yeah.
Where they watch old school movies. But T'Pring, she recounts a story to Spock that she'd only ever told Spock in order to try and prove to him that she's real. But then Spock calls her out and was like, well, you're just in my head. Yeah, it could just be coming from my brain. So, anyway. Laan, she's down in engineering and she's watching more of Harper's logs. And we see something walking up behind her. And then it does get up to her and it touches her shoulder. And she seems to think that it's Spock. Right? Like,
and she touches the hand back and still thinks it's Spock.
Like, yeah, she was that confident that it sounded like Spock walking up behind her in engineering. Yeah, and then she's touching this hand on her shoulder, which ends up being like zombie Harper.
Yeah. even if you thought it was Spock, you don't turn around at all on a creepy ship and be like, just to make sure.
Yeah, no.
Human
Right.
instinct, you know.
But then it vanishes. So Kirk is seen then back on the bridge, working through the comm station. And I didn't mention it earlier. He had a little toy for his son David in his, like his go bag, I guess. But somehow that little toy ended up in the ready room on the bridge. So, but then he hears a baby in the comms console there. Wow.
Well, this is the part that
baby
really took me out.
It creeped you out?
It took me out. Is this the part where he finds the baby in the wall? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, in the console, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because like I say, with the tropes, he walks towards the noise, bends down in the dark, snaps back up towards it again, walks up slowly, and he thinks there's a baby in the wall. Like, what would make you think there was an actual baby in the wall? Even if you heard it, you have to. As a Starfleet captain, you're trained for these scenarios. What would make you instantly think that this is what's going on?
I suppose when people are going crazy, they don't actually know that they're going crazy. That's the thing.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah,
Again,
it's
trophy.
It is one of those things. Spock and T'Pring, they're working on trying to get the door to sick bay open, and they're messing with the wires and stuff. But then T'Pring, she stuns Spock with a phaser. Okay, cool.
Something's happening.
Yeah, and then we do jump around quite a lot in this between like the bridge and engineering and sick bay. But there are a whole bunch of figures in engineering talking to La'an. Right? Like there'd be at least 100 of them, if not more. All different races. I haven't mentioned it. Cool shirt, by the way, Steve, with Hammer on it.
And you thought of it because you saw the dead Andorians behind
it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I thought one of them was Hammer, and I'm like, oh, it's not because you're on a different ship. So
there was there was Andorians, there was humans. I think there might even have been a Nausicaan in there at some point as well.
Did the Nausicaans join Starfleet?
I don't think so, but it might not have been a Nausicaan. It was
not
like
to say that an individual can't just probably join, but
well, yeah, like we've got Worf that just joined Starfleet. Yeah. He was the only one, so
well, yeah, they're not a member of Starfleet. Well, I was thinking to myself, they're a member of Starfleet now, but they're not. They were just at peace with Starfleet. So,
well, at peace with the Federation, yeah. So
Federation.
Anyway,
yep.
Spock comes to, and he's strapped to the table in sickbay.
Because it really happened to him.
So T'Pring, she tells him that his humanity is not his weakness, but it is his strength. Then she gets these surgical shears and cuts off the tips of his ears in order to make him more human. Just the tip. But they graphically showed that too. Okay. All right.
Not what I want in my Star Trek.
Like it was a choice. It was
the whole episode.
It was probably one of the more graphic Star Trek episodes in a way. Like we have seen some graphic things in Star Trek before, but cutting the tips off of a Vulcan's ears, that was like wow. And then they were bleeding green, which I appreciated that they kept the blood green. Yeah. I did appreciate that.
This is definitely the most gory, the most blood, the most maniacal we've seen Star Trek, I believe.
I think so.
It has to be, especially as one of the deaths that we'll talk.
Yes. Kirk, he's freaking out looking for his son. Then we get Pike, Sam Kirk, Uhura, Una, and Erica Ortegas. They all beam in. So I will say, and I've said it before, I really love their away team jackets.
I do too.
Yeah, they're cool. I really want one.
Yeah. I like the uniforms overall. Pretty much everything they wear.
These uniforms that they have on Strange New Worlds are so clean and crisp and awesome to look at. They are very,
Yep.
very good.
And
And
like Mbenga, his definite pull towards like the older version of the Star Trek style of uniforms. You can see it in his too a lot
yes,
more compared to Pike's or everybody else's. You can see the filtering in of different elements of the original series. I love
definitely.
that. I actually do.
So the away team, they can't actually get comms out either. So, and then Uhura, she heads over to like the comms console, and it's just, it's a mess of wires and, parts. And then Kirk admits that he heard his son David in the console, and he basically broke it trying to get him out. So I think it's at that point the away team there sort of is like, there's something weird going on here.
Oh, you don't say?
Yeah.
It pissed me off so bad watching this one.
It's
Sorry.
they figured out though that they may be able to beam off of the ship one at a time. So there's not enough power to beam everyone off in one hit, but they might be able to beam everyone off one at a time. So, they'll give that a crack. So Sam Kirk, he sort of consoles his brother a bit though. So, because, as we know, Sam, he works on the Enterprise at this point. And he's trying to console his brother. So La'an, she starts to head up to the bridge, but on her way up, the turbo lift stops at deck 17. And she's like, okay, and she tries to get it to go again, and then it stops at deck 17, and then again, a third time, and it stops at deck 17. So it just seems to be stuck there. Doesn't want to go anywhere. So she gets off, but there is a heap of plastic sheeting all hanging around in the hallway in deck 17. So from what I can gather, deck 17 seems to be like a crew quarters deck. Why the hell is there a whole bunch of, like, it looks like painters sheeting hanging around? Like, did they just happen to be in the middle of like renovations when
Yeah,
this
it was
all
very odd.
Or was it just there? Someone's like, oh, let's make it look more creepy and put some plastic sheeting up.
And that's exactly what I took out of it originally. I was like, this screams like some weird warehouse in Detroit where the serial killer has people tied up in some oddly electric place that has electricity, but it has these tarps all around it.
It was
You
weird.
know what I mean? Like,
so anyway, so she goes into one of the quarters. She finds blood on the wall, right? But then she finds this cool knife. Like, I actually really liked the look of that knife. It was cool.
was it Klingon? It
I
wasn't
don't
a
think
regular
so.
traditional Klingon, but what was
It to me it had a little bit of vibes of like a thinner tracker knife. I don't know if you've ever seen a tracker knife before. It
per
was very
se?
much
But
thinner, but it had those kind of vibes to me. Maybe a little bit of cookery vibes from like a Gurkha knife.
that's what I got out of it. That's what I got out of it. Like the angle to it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, it's
Like
kind of.
Dooku's hilt.
It could have been a bit of a mixture between the two. I'm going to see if I can find out what that knife is actually and who makes it, and see if there are any over here that we can get. So, because it was definitely cool. But we find out that quarters is actually Harper's quarters, so the security chief of the Griffin. So La'an keeps seeing these recordings in all of these different consoles all the time, but then La'an smashes it. So Uhura comes to find
She smashes it because it's herself talking back to herself.
That's true too, yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, what the hell? And she just, smashes the thing,
So back in sick bay, T'Pring is starting to cut the bottom right-hand side of Spock's shirt off. Now, if anybody knows anything about Vulcan physiology, that bottom right-hand side is where their heart is. So I can't remember what episode that they mentioned that in, but yeah, that is where the Vulcan heart is. So, which is not smart having your heart in the stomach area because it doesn't have the protection of your rib cage. But hey, apparently that's where it is.
And the Klingons have a redundant organ for everything, so.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point, though, Una and Pike, they come in, and T'Pring is then just gone. So it's like it snaps Spock out of whatever he's in, and T'Pring has just disappeared. So,
But brings him into a different area.
well, yes, it does, definitely.
Hallucination, yeah.
So Sam and Jim Kirk are both on the bridge, and Sam then starts to talk about the toy and how he buys toys for his kid. Jim asks him how he manages to balance family with Starfleet, which is a really good question for him to be asking his brother, considering his brother has a family already with 2 kids, and he's trying to have his own family himself with young David and Carol there. I thought that was a good character brotherly moment. I did like that. But then Sam starts to hear his own kid, Peter. So now this hallucinations is starting to spread to the away team that come to rescue them. But Jim, he's realized at this point that it's not real, and he starts to tell him that it's not real. But the doors to the bridge seal.
Away. Yeah.
Anyway, so La'an and Erica, they've gone to the transporter room with Uhura to try and beam out one by one. And Erica's like, yep, I'll go first, essentially. Holy hell.
La'an realizes that they're there after she smashes the screen and looks up and realizes that they're on the ship now. They just popped into the scenario right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah, they
flash
did.
in. It's like, where the fuck do they come from?
They're trying to beam her out. Well, La'an is trying to beam Erica out, and from what I could gather, she was almost being folded in on herself until Uhura tried to stop her, but then she ended up putting her in like the transporter buffer to save her. Because I was almost expecting that we were going to see Erica in like this pile of meat mess on the floor.
Kind of like the motion picture.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what
I just watched. I just
really?
watched it last week, so I was like, I've been watching them in a row, so I'm up to the search for Spock towards the end of it. But
nice.
That same thing happens, and watching Kirk's face of that one it was right when he takes over the ship, and realizes he doesn't know a damn thing about the Enterprise now.
Yep. So Pike and Una, they put Spock back into sickbay, right, onto the bio bed and basically tie him down again. Una starts to cut herself with a scalpel. Like, I
hated this whole thing because I don't love horror. I don't like that either. So
even in other movies and stuff, I hate seeing. I know obviously it's not real, but I know.
Yeah.
I hate seeing people cutting themselves, and I hate seeing druggies giving themselves needles with drugs and stuff as well. It creeps me out.
Hey man, not to interrupt, but there was this movie growing up called remember Steve-O from Jackass?
Yeah.
And there's this movie about his drug addiction, his alcohol addiction. It's called PCP Saved My Life. The freaking opening scene of that is him shooting up heroin underneath the bridge, and you're like, "What? What is going on?" Yeah. I was instantly like, I just felt disgusting the entire time watching it. And all my, we were younger, all my buddies were watching, and I'm just over there like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no,
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I hate seeing it. Like, I'm okay with, like, obviously in the army, I've had plenty of like vaccinations and needles, and I've given blood, and I'm happy to like put my own IV and stuff in. I can do that sort of stuff, but as soon as it's got anything to do with drugs or people cutting themselves and stuff, I do not like it at all. Like, I'm obviously not worried about blood and things. It's just the idea of somebody cutting into themselves for no reason. Yeah, it's just, it creeps me out.
Yeah, I
Um,
give blood plasma, and in the main vein of your arm here, like that doesn't bug me out. I'm actually really good with it. But seeing somebody do it's like, ugh.
I'm that type of person that when I have a blood test or something done, I will literally watch the blood come out into the vial in my
Yeah,
own arm.
exactly. Yep.
I'm fine with that, but it's
Yep.
drugs and people, self-harming, I just don't like it.
And I love drugs. No, I'm just kidding.
uh anyway, so Sam and Jim Kirk, they're trying to pry the doors open to the bridge so they can get out of the bridge, but then the view screen starts to crack. Now, this is probably one of the more graphic scenes of the whole episode, in my opinion.
This is the
Sam,
most graphic scene in Star Trek, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Sam starts to get caught and pulled out through the hole in the view screen, and then we see his body as a floating mess of meat and like mince meat and blood in space. It was like, whoa.
Can we talk about this for a second? Because
Yeah, go for it.
I didn't like the episode. It is what it is. I don't think it was a bad episode. It's just not for me. I actually think it was a good episode, just not for me. The way that so when he hit the glass, I said he can't just stop the air. You can't have him. He has to die this way because the amount of vacuum on
That
his
pressure.
back exposed and the pressure, but just on his actual skin, it would suck liquid out of you. And that's exactly what happened to him. And I'm like, yes, as it was going on, I was like, well, at least they
Scientifically
get that
right.
right.
Yeah.
Scientifically right. And then boom, he gets out. But what killed the scene for me, like, graphically wise, as he's floating away, you see all the string of all that, and he's all messed up. And you're like, that's exactly how he would die right there. But what took me out at the end of it is, so Jim gets the doors open, and like that suction is coming through the view screen. That whole entire cabin has been depressurized, and he is able to open the doors up at that point, fall through the other side without holding on to anything and go no to his brother. But meanwhile, that vacuum is still happening 20 feet away from
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, you're right.
So scientifically speaking, they got the gore part, right? But not like the actual science of what can happen to somebody who's trying to escape that. That
That's
took me out.
okay because it will make sense at the end.
I know why it does make sense because
Yeah. Like, spoilers, it's all in their mind.
yeah, spoiler alert for the whole episode that we already said was a spoiler alert.
Uhura,
Trying to
she's
hold it
trying
back.
to escape from La'an. Like, Uhura is freaking the hell out because La'an had, like, tried to turn Erica inside out, basically, with the transporter. Then Uhura gets slashed by Harper. Or what we think is Harper.
Yeah.
But it turns out that all along, Harper has basically been La'an in her own mind. And it
Did
was
you see that?
La'an that slashes Uhura.
Did you see that at one point though?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, it kind of
Did you
made
guess
sense.
that?
Yeah, well, it kind of made sense with the when she smashed that view screen in the quarters.
Yep.
That's where it
That's when
started.
I first got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then La'an has this creepy ass smile about slashing her, eh? So,
I actually liked it because we've talked about that we think she's beautiful. She's a beautiful
Christina
woman.
Chong, beautiful woman.
You don't get to see her like really smile that much and have a lot of emotion because she's very stoic. She's she's stern. She's scared
But
of
it was a
chief.
creepy smile.
It was creepy, but I was like, yeah, that's she's fucking beautiful, man. I was like, she's pretty fucking hot.
You know how like some actors, you look at them and the way they portray the character, and I'll use Richard Dean Anderson for instance, like the way he plays Colonel O'Neill in Stargate. That to me, from the videos and stuff I've seen of Richard Dean Anderson, seems like that is like there's so much of Richard Dean Anderson in that character.
Yes. Yep.
La'an, it doesn't seem like there's no Christina Chong in that character of La'an.
Not at all.
Not like she's such a lovely person, and Like Laan is lovely in her own way, but she's so stoic and very stern and everything. Christina Chong not like that. So hats off to her with her acting. Great.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
like her character a lot in the show, and I think I've told you before, like I don't gravitate towards a lot of the characters overall. And Benga, I do.
and
Um,
Benga, he's
very
probably, I think I've said it before, he's probably my favorite in the whole show.
and absolutely, he's one of the top Star Trek actors in general for me. I thought like every single thing that he does in every single scene or 5 second clip, like at the end of the show, at the end of this last week's episode, when he talks to Pike, it's just so on point and it's very well done. It's not overused. His character's perfect in the show.
Now,
It really
Kirk
is.
finds Laan in the hall. She stabs him straight through with this knife, like from the front, and it goes all the way through out the back as well.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
wow. I wasn't
for
expecting.
real too. For
Oh,
real
yeah,
too.
for real. This is not in their mind. This
Yeah,
is
this is
a
not part of
real
that.
stabbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she runs him through hard. Then we see back in sick bay, Pike is cooking. Yeah, Spock is still tied up again, and this is graphic as hell too.
I don't like this. This is the worst part for me.
He is cutting his own fingers off into chunks.
Ugh.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
done it as a 25-year former chef, so somebody who's actually cut like literally the tip of my finger off. I don't know how it's grown back. It took me out instantly. So I'm like, it just
Now,
brought me back to that
I cut the tip
ultimate pain, bro.
when I was about 10 or 11. I cut the tip of my index finger here off, and I had to have it sewn back on. And there's no feeling in the end of that finger now.
Oh, I
And
still have finger feeling in both of them that I did it to, but I'm telling you, man, I don't even know how it looks even remotely normal. Because I mean, I cut just that feeling of seeing him do it. I was like, I know it was fake, but it's just like, I hate this.
anyway, Pike, he collapses after he's cut his fingers off, and then Spock asks them to let everybody else go and to take him. Like he's willing to sacrifice himself in order to protect the rest of his crew, which is awesome.
Logical.
Yep, absolutely. This is when T'Pring comes at him with a cleaver. And then all of a sudden he's free and she's gone. Like, wow. All right, so then Kirk is trying to get away from Laan. So Laan tells Jim his little boy is going to die just like him at the end of a blade in a dark corner of space.
Yep.
Massive foreshadowing. Massive.
Not just foreshadowing, it has been shadowed.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
very right there.
Anyway, at that point is when they all get beamed out of the Griffin back to the Enterprise. So Pike is there. Everybody else essentially is there. And it's at that point where it's definitely made clear to all of us that the away team that had gone to rescue them on the Griffin were
Never
not
went.
actually there. That it was all in their mind the whole time.
What did you instantly think? So for me in this scene, what were you thinking when they beamed onto the ship and they saw
Well,
Kirk?
straight away, I was like, okay, that's definitely not real. But I'm like, I'm hoping that this is actually happening at this point, that they have been rescued. That's what I'm
Well,
thinking. What were you thinking?
get him to the medical bay. And is immediately somebody goes over to him, emergency beam out to medical bay. Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Right to the medical bay. They all stood there like this.
Yeah, they
Kirk
were
has
all
a
stunned, really.
stunned. They're all trained for. That's what always gets me. They're all trained professionals on 5-year mission,
Oh,
long periods of
mate,
time. The man is stabbed right in front of him on the ground, and they're all standing there like I get being shocked. Maybe in the third second, somebody actually moves, I don't know. That just took me out.
I have
I'm like,
seen
somebody do
many.
something.
I have seen many a soldier in my
Yeah,
career on operations freeze up in the middle of enemy action, or or when someone has been shot or stabbed or something, or has a graphic injury. People just they freeze
yeah,
up. Doesn't matter how much
yep.
training you've got. It just happens to some people.
It just
Doesn't
took
tend to
too
happen to
long.
me.
But does that happen to every single person in the room?
Well, I guess it
Six
could.
or seven of
Yeah,
them?
it's possible.
It was
Yeah, it's
somebody's got
possible.
to be like, somebody's got to have a straight mind to be like, yeah, being shocked, shock factor is definitely a thing, but be like, whoa, somebody's got to do something. You've seen it plenty of times. People can just snap into that fucking scenario no matter what's going on.
Yeah,
You
of
see
course.
the people who can't, but there's tons of people who also can. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
that's
at
what
this
just took me
point,
out of it.
Jim Kirk, straight away, though, all credit to him, he asks about his brother straight
Yeah.
away, because
Yep.
he's like, oh, it wasn't real. But then, yeah, Pike is like, he's on shore leave. And
Visiting his
Laan,
family.
he then drops the knife. So we go to a little bit later now, and Benga's having a bit of a chat to Pike about the whole thing. And this is where they talk about Division 12 again. Now, this is where we find out that Pike, he has reported, I think he said 6 different things to Division 12 through his career. And a couple of them had found out to be like aliens and stuff, but a few of them, they still don't know what they are. Yeah, but they also, Pike doesn't even know where Division 12's base of operations is.
I
So,
do want to know more about Division 12. I really do.
yes. Yeah, it would make an interesting book, at least. I'm not
Yeah,
going to say a
don't make it a
TV
show.
movie.
Don't make
Don't
it a
make a
show
whole
or a
show
movie.
about it. I
Yeah.
don't want another, shitty failed Section 31 movie type of thing. I don't want a Division 12 movie like that.
I got a question for you
Yeah, send it.
that just popped into my head because, they used to do this a lot with shows when, with like little tidbits like this, and they'd fill in a whole storyline. Star Trek is a huge example of it. Whether it's just a background character, then all of a sudden you got his whole entire story out of it. Do they currently make Strange New World comics that kind of fill in some of the storylines that we are seeing?
But yeah, like I've got heaps of Star Trek books, like, by
But
like
current,
Peter David and all
is there
that sort of
anything
stuff. But
current
yeah,
with this show?
I can't say that I have seen any. No, actually,
They need to do that, man.
sure,
I've
they
seen it,
are doing Strange New World comics. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are.
but are they? I wonder if they're tying them in with the events that take place in the show, or if they're, like a separate story. Because I do know, like me and you have gone over some of the books that I have here to my left. Some of them are adjacent to the stories that we've seen on screen. Love that because it fills in those little gaps. And you don't have to make a full movie about it. Just tell us a little bit of story about it.
I've lived all around the country, in the army, and yeah, like where I currently live, I don't even know if we've got a local comic book store.
We have a ton here in the States that are actually still around. Nostalgia and video games and comics and all that and retro toys are like at the peak over here. So you can pretty much
Yeah,
find that anywhere.
my 7-year-old and I, we love playing retro games. We've got a like an old Nintendo 64, and we've got like some game stick thing that plugs into the back of the TV that's got like, was it 10,000 games on it as well, like Nintendo. Like we were playing, was it Street Fighter 2 the other night?
Nice. That's the best one. That's the
Yes,
best one.
well, Friday night, Street Fighter 2 and pizza. That's what we did.
Yep.
It was great. Anyway, so Pike asks Mbenga about Kirk and how he's going, and he says that they are healing physically, but they're all mentally damaged essentially from what they have experienced on board that ship. So,
Instantly, I
Nurse,
was like this. Fucking damn it.
Nurse Chapel goes to Spock's quarters to fix his ears up, and she fixes them up good as new. And because Spock had asked her to specifically come to his quarters to do it because of his experience of being in sick bay, and it was kind of creeping him out still. And she explains to him that she's a little bit creeped out by the mess hall because during the war they turned a mess hall into a triage / operating bay type of thing. So that makes sense. Like it is
It does.
deeply traumatic, which makes sense to me. Absolutely does.
She's just too soft of a character for me. I can't take her.
She does ask him like why to Pring. Like, was she probing for like why what wasn't her that he was thinking of? Like, your relationship is done. Like, be done with it.
Yeah, and they refuse to get her away from that style of storytelling. It seems like she's just meant to be a soft "Are you okay?" character.
Yeah,
Let me get to
now.
your emotions. I
But
can't take it anymore. I can't stand when she gets on screen now because I know that's what it's going to be.
Spock did say to her though that T'Pring brought him back to logic, which makes sense.
Yeah, she's full
So
Vulcan. She's his logical side.
La'an goes to speak to Captain Pike and asks him about the report. It's not entirely accurate. It's not mentioned in there that she tried to kill Jim Kirk. He
Pretty
invites.
key detail.
Yeah, look, it is a detail that I understand why he didn't put that in his official report, but I also understand why he left it out too.
Same.
So, but it
I
could
do
very
get it.
easily have been in the report and been explained perfectly
Exactly.
and not harmed
Without getting
La'an.
her in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but he invites her for a drink in the quarters there, and he tells some story about when he was a kid in his uncle's barn, how the other kids had told him that there was some creepy spirit or something in there.
With
And
like a scythe or something
yeah,
like
so,
a
and he was like, "Well, I'm going
yeah.
to sleep in there overnight." But then, yeah, he heard some noises and rushed out, and he ends up with this massive cut on him. And at the time, he thought maybe he'd scraped a nail or something, but nobody could find anything. There was nothing he got cut on that they could find. So it's another unexplained phenomenon, I guess.
And it said something to him as well, right?
Yeah, well, he said he's still got that scar, and yeah, he said he heard something, didn't he?
Yeah, it said something specific to him, and that really creeped him out. That made him have the belief that anything is kind of possible at the same time. Seems
So
like, at least.
Uhura, she's going now to help Jim Kirk reach out to Carol and their son David, and she offers him some cookies, which I thought was nice. Yeah,
You know
you
me,
just
man. I ain't got time for any of this at the end of the stock.
nah, that's
It
fine.
seems so hand-fisted and so forced every time that everybody needs to talk about their emotions.
Put a nice bow on it.
Yeah, sure.
So Laan sees getting towed out, but then we see Harper in the window still. Now,
Loved
is
this scene. Loved it.
is that Laan seeing Harper, or is that
Yeah,
actually Harper that we're seeing? Because as we know, Division 12 is taking that ship now to figure out what's going on.
yeah.
Like that ship, it doesn't seem that damaged either. So could that ship, once they finish their investigation, be sent to a shipyard and rechristened?
Possibility. And I love
So
how they trailed the ship. They towed the ship directly next to the Enterprise, and her window happens to be overlooking it. And even though these three characters just had monumental traumatic experiences, they decide in this vastness of the space to drive right next to each other. It's just I don't know why, but it's just so funny. It's like, hey, I know you had an issue. This alligator bit your arm off. We're gonna trail him next to you, and you get to look at him the entire time. It's just weird to me. Oh.
that there ends the episode. So overall, yeah, you said you didn't like the episode, Steve. Wasn't your favorite, or
It's not for me. It's not that I didn't like it.
was it well
I think
done,
there was,
or was it too many tropes in there and too cliched,
and
or
that's what kind of got me out of it. Is there was a lot of predictability, a lot of tropes, um, a lot of like, why the hell are you doing this way? Um, it's And number one, it's horror in sci-fi. Any horror in sci-fi. It's just not what I'm looking for in sci-fi.
It's not what I
And
was
I
looking
don't like
for.
horror movies in general. So
It's not what I
that's
was
just
looking for in Star Trek. Like, don't
same.
get me wrong, I like horror in sci-fi. That's fine. Not that I
It
watch a
is.
lot of horror stuff, but yeah, Star Trek. I don't know. It didn't like. It was a good
It's
episode for
very
me. I
predictable.
liked it. I really did like it overall. Um, in parts, I thought it was probably too graphic for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Um,
Eric's
which is
brothers.
fine. Like at the end of the day, yes, we're now in a streaming era, so they can get away with this stuff and they can do swearing and they can do more blood and gore and stuff because it is streaming instead of network TV. Okay, I get it. Like if this was your jumping in point to Strange New Worlds after coming from like the Next Generation or DS9 or Voyager, that would probably be a bit of a shocking episode to jump in at, really.
Yeah, and especially after how well they hit every element of last week's episode, and they showed what got me hopeful for this season was last week's episode
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
they nailed every element of what Star Trek is, in my opinion. They really did. And for this week's episode, it just kind of felt like it was like a Earthbound episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah, bottle
very
episode.
contained. It was very. It just seemed like they could have done a lot more, and I wanted them to really hit a strange new world almost every episode of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after what been giving us the past couple seasons, which for me was about a C when it comes to storytelling and execution. Um, Star Trek visually, in pretty much anything nowadays, visually, it doesn't matter. It's going to look banging. And I do think Star Trek in particular looks very, very, very good. Another show that nails that is Foundation when it comes to the visuals, but storytelling has been lackluster. I think they nailed a lot of this, but it's just not for me. It's very predictable, very tropey, but
Anyway, next week, was it season 4, episode 3 is called Human Best Friend. Okay, so we'll see what that's all about. Yeah, so for those that don't know, I am now putting the video version of this podcast on YouTube on the Geek and Camo channel. Obviously, this will still keep on the podcasting channel of Get Into Geek with all the boys over there. Yeah, jump on the YouTube, give us a like, follow, subscribe on there. You can also find my Geek and Camo Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and now X as well. So get around the socials, reach out, let us know what you think. Anyway, until next week, where, as I said, the episode is Human Best Friend. Thanks for coming along, Steve. And we'll catch
live
you
long
later.
and prosper.
Bye.